Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? The Saints will hit the practice field on Wednesday. You have a piece up right now at ESPN.com. The biggest Saints camp storylines. I actually want to ask your opinion on something Malcolm Jenkins said on the Rich Eisen show. We just played it for our audience, but he essentially said that he's sold on Jameis as a leader because of what he saw in the clubhouse, and he wouldn't have thought that. He was very candid. He said, I wouldn't have thought that until I was on the team with him. Mike, best you can tell, is this team in lockstep behind Jameis Winston as their guy?
Yeah, I think so. Look, even the year he backed up Drew Brees, and he had been around for just a matter of weeks, and we were doing like the first reporting and stories on him that summer. The first thing everybody said, big smile on their face. What a great teammate he is. How infectious he is. Sean Payton, if you find anything he's ever said about Jameis Winston, like why they signed him, why they liked him, why they re-signed him, it was always two things: arm talent and leadership. The personality, the charisma, sometimes it's really like over the top, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's all so. His enthusiasm really is infectious. And I'm not surprised at all. People say the funny thing is there's so many guys on this team that when you ask them a question about Jameis, the first thing they do is break out laughing. Like, he just puts people in a mood. It's really funny. And that part has always been true with him since he was here, and the stories with him in Tampa were that way too. No one has ever questioned anything about, his commitment to being great and his commitment to being a great teammate. Obviously, any question about him has to do with, how high his ceiling is, how low his floor is. But I think he's in a better position to succeed here with Saints this season than he ever has been probably in his career.
And we also know at this point that Jameis is healthy. The big question going into camp is about everyone else with all these injuries. Best you can tell, how healthy are the Saints with some of their more well-known injuries going into camp?
Well, it's what I wrote about in that piece we talked about earlier. In one of the categories they had us choose from was training camp will be a success, yeah, and that's the one. Nobody's healthy. Nobody's ever going to be fully healthy. The Saints are going to have injuries this year. They're going to have a rash. There's going to be 1 week where 7 guys are down. So there's no such thing as perfect health. If any team in the league gets there, they're probably going to have a great season. So I don't want to be generic with it, but it's so true with the Saints. There are so many big. We think Michael Thomas is getting close. We know Jameis Winston's getting close. We hope Marcus Davenport's getting close. We know Peyton Turner's getting close. We think Marcus May is getting close. Taysom Hill's supposed to be close. But that is a lot of names that we need to see it. We need to know that these guys are all going to get enough training camp and preseason time to be full contributors by week 1. And if that's true and this team just has the normal amount of injuries instead of what we witnessed last year, it's going to be a pretty loaded lineup. And actually one of my, the bold prediction I almost went with is that the Saints are going to become a real buzzy team by the end of the month. I think if we're seeing all those guys on the field in glimpses and preseason games and training camp highlights, people are going to be like, man, I kind of forgot how much talent is on that New Orleans team because people have just been thinking about what they lost this offseason.
He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett. Go read the camp preview up at ESPN.com. One thing you didn't write about, though, Mike, as best as I can remember, was the running back spot. Do you think they're still going to add a running back as best they've tried so far in this offseason?
Yeah, but I think the fact that they've kicked the tires on as many guys as they have without actually signing any of them just lets you know that I think they're updating their ready list. And I think that makes that approach makes sense at that position because, unfortunately for the running backs in the NFL, that is a position where you can kind of wait till September, and if you need a guy, that's a pretty impressive list of guys who are still looking for work. The one that comes to mind to me last year was the Ravens, who kept signing the Saints cast-offs. They were like, okay, we'll take Latavius Murray. All right, we'll take Devontae Freeman.
Murray, present.
That caliber of player is available in the NFL because that position the veterans get kind of tossed aside at that position. So as long as they have Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram and some young guys with potential, including Abram Smith and Tony Jones Jr. that they're excited about, there's no immediate need to sign a guy now. They just have to have that ready list as updated as possible in case Alvin Kamara's suspension lasts longer or in case there's an injury. And obviously there's a lot of injuries at that position, but I don't think it's a thing where, Mark Ingram is perfectly capable. If Kamara's going to miss 3 games or something like that, and they're like, all right, Mark needs to get 20 touches in 3 straight games, he's perfectly capable of doing that. We saw him go over 100 yards twice last year after he joined the thing.
Mike, you mentioned Abram Smith. Other rookies you're interested in? Let me say, aside from Chris Olave, I mean, I think the first pick is always something. We're always going to be interested. But other rookies you're interested in watching, even the UDFAs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're a little more intrigued by the skill position players, and they're a little easier to see until we get into actual preseason games with live tackling and things like that. So, hard to say. Any of the UDFAs that I know a lot of people are probably excited to see if Smoke Monday, how he'll do, and then obviously Alontae Taylor as a second-round pick. Sure. In the most crowded position suddenly on this team. When I had to do my 53-man roster projection, I also wanted to put Bryce Thompson on there, which I did because he made the team last year, but he also had a really impressive stretch during OTAs and minicamp. But I was at 12, 13, 14 DBs. So I would say that is an area where I would be really excited and say they've got a couple undrafted rookies that can make the team, but I also think that's the one where the jobs are going to be the hardest to come by.
What about help at tight end? Is there help on the horizon, or are they content with the group they got?
Well, neither.
Okay.
They're not content with the group that they got. That wouldn't be the right way to put it, but it's very similar to what I just said at running back. There's not an obvious upgrade out there. I mean, Adam Trautman is going to be their lead tight end this year, and he's going to be on the field a ton because he's a really, really good blocker. And I think he will develop a little bit more as a pass catcher. I mean, how can he not? There's only one direction he can go in that area. And Jawan Johnson will probably take another step forward. And Taysom Hill is going to be very involved on this team as officially a tight end, even in, though I expect we'll see him in his usual roles, running the ball and behind center on certain packages too. And obviously Nick Vannett, a veteran. So they've got the bodies. If they had decided to upgrade to a guy who could catch 80 balls a year, yeah, that would have been great. But they don't need just a warm body in that group.
He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett. Hey, before you go, I'm surprised we haven't even talked about position battles. When you have a roster that has a lot of talent, a lot of times there aren't a lot of spots up for grabs. Where do you see the roster spots that are up for grabs? Where are these position battles going to happen?
No, I mean, that's a really good point. And when I did that 53-man roster projection at the end of minicamp, like I said, I put Abram Smith on. I think he was the only undrafted rookie, but that's partly because I think he'll play a big special teams role. And to do that, I didn't have a fullback on the roster, even though they did actually use a fullback for 16 of the 17 games last year. So I'm probably going to be wrong about that. I put Bryce Thompson on there as one sort of wild card, but I didn't have room for a lot of the other wild cards I liked. And I think I was short one offensive lineman when I did it. So I could easily come up with 60 guys who I think could make this 53-man roster. Now, obviously, injuries will change that, and some guys will begin on different lists and things like that, and then some things open up. But, no, this is not, it's not different than any other year here where I'm not sitting there being like, geez, how am I going to fill these last 18 spots? Who's going to fill these? It's having trouble trying to decide who's not going to make this thing.
He is Mike Triplett, ESPN.com. Camp gets underway officially on Wednesday. You can go see Mike's camp preview right now at ESPN.com. And, man, we always appreciate it. All the best. We'll be in touch.
All right. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.